Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News and welcome to the post match live analysis where we analyze Barcelona matches as soon as they end today. We're starting a little bit late because my vacation has officially began. I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's no internet. I had to drive for 20 minutes until I was able to find a restaurant with Wi Fi so I can connect to it and be able to watch the match. And I gotta say, what a waste of my time. What a waste of 20 minutes that I spent driving. What a waste of 2 hours that I spent watching the match. Because today was an absolute disaster, which of course we're going to be talking about. I'm finally at my hotel. I have some Wi Fi. It's a little bit weak. I don't know if you guys can see me clearly, but this is why I'm doing this late because I just got back and I decided, well, we got to talk about today's match because today Chelsea defeated Barcelona 3-0 at Stamford Bridge in a match where it could have been easily, I don't know, 5-0, 6-0. Honestly, the only thing miraculous about today's match was that Barcelona lost by 3 goals because this could have easily been a much worse score. Now, don't be fooled because some people will excuse this loss with, well, we had one man down, right? Araujo got red card. But that's not the case because this team would have lost with or without Araujo. This team would have lost with all 11 men on the field either way. Because even when Araujo was on the field, this team was playing like absolute crap. I mean, the disparity between Barca and Chelsea was day and night. It's like we were going on second gear and then we're going on sixth gear. I mean, the difference of the intensity, of the running, of the physicality, of everything was day and night. We have a team with players that don't want to run, don't want to fight, don't want to try, have no heart, no hunger, nothing. They think because last season they had a wonderful season that all of a sudden that's it. They're done, right? They won 3 trophies. That's enough. We'll call it a day. There's no need to try more, right? Last season, Barcelona was one of the most feared teams, was one of the most respected teams in Europe. So these players think that, well, we don't have to try because in Europe, they still respect us. They still fear us. Well, that's not the case, okay? Because we played against 3 big teams, PSG, Madrid, and Chelsea, and we've lost every single match. We have yet to beat any important or any big teams in Europe. So if these players think that just because they wear the Barcelona kit, just because they have those colors or that crest on their chest, that other teams are just going to bow to them out of fear, they're sorely, sorely mistaken. Because right now, nobody respects Barcelona in Europe. And it's all the players' fault because how they've been playing. Now, let's break down this match because there's a lot to talk about. Let's first talk about, of course, the lineup, as we always do. Then we'll talk about the team as a whole. And then we'll talk about individual players because there's a lot of players I want to talk about. But let's start with the lineup, which honestly, I still don't understand why Flick chose this lineup. But nonetheless, let's look at the lineup for today's match. We have Joan Garcia in goal, Jules Koundé and Balde as our 2 left backs. And this is the first thing I don't understand. Ronald Araujo next to Pau Cubarsí. And I don't understand this because we've already seen time and time again that Araujo is not cut out for the Champions League. We saw it against PSG last season under Xavi. We saw it last season. We saw it again this. So why was Araujo there next to Cubarsí? I have no idea. And this, of course, no one is to blame here besides Hansi Flick. Flick should have known that Araujo is not cut out for the Champions League and he had no business starting next to Pau Cubarsí. If anything, you could have put Eddie Garcia next to Pau Cubarsí and had Dani Olmo start next to Frankie. You don't want to start Frankie next to Olmo? Fine. Put Eddie Garcia next to Frankie like it was. Bring in Christensen, someone who's actually won the Champions League and knows how to play in the Champions League. That I will not understand. In a double pivot, we had Frankie de Jong and Eddie Garcia. Our attacking mid was Fermin Lopez, and then we had Lamine Yamal, Ferran Torres, and Robert Lewandowski as our front three. Now let's talk as a team as a whole, because like I was saying a few moments ago, this team is just in it. These players have no heart. These players have lost all the hunger. They don't run. They don't try. I mean, Rafinha comes on, and in the 30 minutes he's on the field, he ran more than most of these players ran in the entire 90 minutes. I mean, the way Rafinha was trying, with the intensity that he was playing, I mean, these players better apologize to him in person. Because what we saw today from this team was absolutely pathetic. Now, that's regarding the players, their mentality, which is non existent. But let's talk about tactically, because I think teams have found a weakness in Flick's system. And no, it's not the high line or the offside trap or all that crap that people tell you because it's the easy thing to yell. I think the weakness in Flick's system is the high press, 1v1 high press. Because we saw PSG apply it, and they completely cornered us in our third, and we weren't able to get past that high press. Sevilla did it, and they thrashed us. And today, Chelsea did it as well, and they also thrashed us. So that's something that Flick is going to have to work on. He's going to have to figure out a way on how to overcome 1v1 high press when applied by opposing teams, because so far, this team has not been able to overcome it. And usually the way you do overcome it, well, you need people in the midfield who are capable of dribbling, right? Someone like Pedri, where if he's getting marked 1v1, he can get past that mark. Now he's free. Someone else from the opposing team is going to have to leave their mark to go and mark Pedri, leaving that one person whose mark just left him open. That's one way to beat the 1v1 high press. Well, today we didn't have Pedri, because that's pretty much our only midfielder who can do that. The only midfielder who can dribble past players. So the other way to beat the 1v1 high press would be for our attackers to drop down to receive the pass, leaving someone like Lewandowski up, and then long pass to the back of the defenders in hopes that Lewy can get to that ball and score. But why was that not working? Well, on one side we had Lamine Yamal, but he had no help from Kunde. Had Kunde been helping Lamine Yamal drop, get those passes, that could have opened up some interior corridor passing. And on the other side, of course, we have Ferran Torres, who's absolute garbage. Let's be honest. But we'll talk about it a little bit. And I think that was our Achilles heel today. It was our Achilles heel against PSG, and it was our Achilles heel against Sevilla. That 1v1 high press, which Flick is going to have to figure out how to overcome. And this one, I do blame on Flick, the same way I blame him for starting Araujo. Now let's talk about the players themselves. Because we have some players on the squad that are making it impossible to win a Champions League. Players who simply don't have the level to be Barcelona players. They might be good enough for La Liga. They might be good enough for teams like Athletic Club de Bilbao, Osasuna, but they're not good enough for Champions League. And to be a Barca level player, you have to be a Champions League level player. Because we're talking about Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world, a team that always aspires to win the Champions League. So if your players are not up to that level of competing in the Champions League, then they're not up to the level of being Barcelona players. Starting with, I'm going to start up front and we'll work our way down with Ferran Torres. Because at the 5th minute, Ferran Torres gets a clear shot, 1v1 against the goalkeeper in the penalty spot. completely by himself, and he misses it. And anybody who's ever competed in the Champions League knows that those chances you do not miss. Because if you miss those chances, you get punished. And that's exactly what happened today. Now, yesterday, someone commented, said, Mo, you've lost the plot. Ferran Torres is Barca level. Tell me how the fuck is Ferran Torres Barca level when he cannot compete in the Champions League? Again, Ferran might be great against teams like Athletic Club, like Osasuna, but he's not a player that you can depend on in the Champions League. And if you cannot compete in the Champions League, you are not Barca level. And as long as we have that kind of mediocrity in our club, that kind of mediocre fans who not only are okay with having mediocre players like Ferran Torres, but they actually applaud it and defend it, then we're never going to win the Champions League. Now let's move on to the midfield. Frankie de Jong. I said this before. Frankie should have been sold. And people thought I was crazy. And then they saw his level. And then he had some good matches. And again, people said, oh, Mo, would you still sell him? Yes. Because today, Frankie de Jong showed us that he too cannot compete in the Champions League. And if you cannot compete in the Champions League, you are not a Barca level player, period. He was constantly losing balls, constantly making horrible passes, constantly holding on to the ball for way too long, slowing down the plays. And this is something that we've seen time and time and time again, match after match, season after season. It's been 6 years, and Frankie de Jong has yet to be a difference-making midfielder in big games or in the Champions League. How long is it going to take us to finally figure out that Frankie de Jong is not a Barca level player? And finally, we come to the big star of today, Ronald fucking Araujo. Because this guy is definitely not a Barca level defender. First of all, he gets a yellow card in the most stupid way by protesting to the referee, which, as a veteran, as a captain, as someone who's been competing at Barca for so many years, should know that in Europe, when you do that, you get a yellow. And when you're playing against a team like Chelsea, you cannot afford to get stupid yellows, because eventually you are going to have to commit some crazy foul that's going to get you a yellow card in order to stop some dangerous attack. You have to, right? As a defender, sometimes you just have to take one for the team and get a yellow. So you cannot go around getting stupid yellows like protesting to the ref when you know that eventually you're going to have to commit a foul that's going to get you a yellow and take one for the team. And then a few minutes later, what does he do? Well, he gets his second yellow. And it wasn't even in an action where he needed to get that yellow, right? I just talked about how sometimes a defender has to get a yellow. There's no way around it. You have to hold on to someone, whatever. That was not it either. He should have kept running with Cucurella. He should have held on to that, completed that run with him. But no, he went and did that stupid tackle. There was no need for that stupid tackle when he already had a yellow and got himself red carded yet again, which shows me that Araujo does not possess the right decision making, does not possess the right intelligence to make the right calls in high stakes situations in the Champions League, which means, again, if you cannot compete in the Champions League, you are not a Barca level player. Now, I can also talk about Jules Koundé and his horrendous match that he's had, but at this point, I've hammered Koundé a million times. I don't know what Flick is waiting. I understand there's not a lot of options, but Koundé needs to go to the bench. Balde today, decision-making, absolutely horrendous. Making runs when he should have passed, passing when he should have made runs, doesn't know when to track back, doesn't know when to step forward. There's Lamine Yamal, who got completely shut down by Cucurella. But at least with Lamine Yamal, I can say, okay, he's 18 years old, he's still learning. But what are Araujo's excuses? He's been around for a very long time. He's a veteran. He's a captain. What's Frankie de Jong's excuse? He's been around for a long time. He's a captain and he's a veteran. What's Ferran Torres' excuse? And there's a reason Pep Guardiola got rid of him at Man City. But someone said, no, well, you have lost the plot because I believe that Ferran Torres is not Barca level. And again, as long as we have these kind of players who are not Barca level and the rest of the players who are too good to run, too good to try, this team cannot aspire to win the Champions League. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.